Yo, what is going on, guys? So on today's episode, we have an interesting one for you here today titled, Companies Are Not Hiring Females Anymore because Men Refuse to Work with Them. Now, before we get into it, guys, I will of course outline why men are refusing to work with women these days. And that is because oftentimes it is unsafe for men to do so. Men have seen what has happened to each other, you know, being falsely accused of things and whatnot. So they don't even want to be left alone in the same room as women these days in case they catch a court case or a trip to human resources. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments.
So a paper came out recently that looked at the impact of the Me Too movement on academia, and it actually shows that post-Me Too, women's productivity fell largely due to fewer collaborations with male researchers. The paper shows that this drop is most pronounced at universities where the perceived risk of sexual harassment accusations is highest. So the actual findings comparing research before and after the movement are right here, and as you can see, after the Me Too movement, collaborations with male researchers inside the same institution fell to close to zero.
Wow, what an absolute shocker here, right? So the collaborations drop immediately, and the reason for that is because men don't want to lose their careers. So we have this little tweet here that says, men think hashtag Me Too means if I accidentally say the wrong thing, I'll be fired, cancelled or fired. That is completely true. I'd better stay away from women. Completely true. This person says, clear policies show that saying the wrong thing doesn't get you cancelled or fired, so clear policies reduce men's perceived risk of Me Too. This is absolute cope, guys. It really does boil down to if you say the wrong thing, the woman doesn't appreciate it, or she takes it the wrong way, or hell, if she wants to make something up, she can, of course, make you lose your career. So no thank you, not falling for it.
The author points out that men feel like if they accidentally say the wrong thing, they could be canceled or fired. She also notes that institutions that have clear policies on sexual harassment help reduce this perceived risk. And this isn't just in academia. The paper also cites a 2018 study which showed that 60% of male managers are uncomfortable participating in common activities with women due to the same concerns. And a curious finding of the study was that men make up for the loss in this collaboration by just collaborating more with other men, whereas women don't make up for it at all. The author concludes her findings by saying that Me Too was important for raising awareness, but it's also increasingly important for institutions to have really clear sexual harassment guidelines.
A new study, due to be published in the journal Organizational Dynamics, has found that following the Me Too movement, men are significantly more reluctant to interact with their female colleagues. A few highlights from the research include 27% of men avoid one-on-one meetings with female coworkers.
You know, people think that this is some kind of joke, right? That it's a bit of a meme these days that, no, men are just completely ignoring this. But the fact of the matter is, men are not ignoring this, okay? I know dudes who have worked before in predominantly female areas, guys, like where the majority of the business is made up of women. And let me tell you this, it's a very unsafe place for a lot of men. You see what I'm saying? Like, they go to work, they don't want to say the wrong thing, they try and avoid being in the same, you know, the same room, if they can, alone at least, right? Men understand that this is a dangerous situation to be in because all it takes is one woman saying that you said something inappropriate or that you did something inappropriate, and you might or might not have even done that in the first place, okay? So guys are just saying, no, thank you, it's not worth the risk.
Earlier this year, I had the displeasure of dealing with a female coworker harassing a male coworker. A male subordinate comes to me to report the female subordinate. She decided that she wanted his opinion on fellatio techniques. She asked him because he's openly gay. I went with him to HR to report. HR calls everyone involved to get their side. At this point, the female employee realizes the male employee snitched and begins bad-mouthing him. HR hands down punishment based on zero tolerance policy. 3 days unpaid suspension for the male victim, but only 1 day unpaid suspension to the female employee because she's pregnant and we can't cause too many problems.
Wait, did I just hear this correctly? So the dude got harassed by the woman. She said something that was quite honestly inappropriate as hell to him. And you're telling me that, unless I'm reading this incorrectly, guys, I'm a little bit tired at the moment, but the dude got 3 days unpaid suspension for the male, right? And she got away with 1 day of unpaid suspension. How does that even make sense, man? So she turns around, starts bad-mouthing him, and then all of a sudden he actually gets longer unpaid suspension than she did. This is crazy, man. It's just a matter of like he said, she said nonsense, and people always side on the side of the woman. That's the way it goes. Dudes understand this, so they don't want to be left alone. They don't want to do these collaborations. When I say left alone, they don't want to be left alone with these women specifically.
The male employee came back from suspension with legal representation. The female employee came back, and all the male employees avoided her and any situation where they would need to be alone with a female employee.
It's not just men who are afraid of women, by the way. Women also appear to be increasingly wary of hiring women. The 2018 survey results found that more than 10% of men and women said they expected to be less willing than before to hire attractive women. Note, the 2019 results for women are not yet public.
I would argue that it doesn't matter if the woman is attractive or unattractive, okay? It makes sense that a lot of these companies don't want to be hiring women. Because what happens is there's a lot of risk associated with doing it, right? You don't want your company, you don't want your business being dragged through the mud because some woman decided to make a false accusation, okay? And this whole Me Too era thing has gotten completely out of hand, guys, because you have women out here who are reporting things that are completely unsubstantiated, right? And, you know, I say this point and then all the people, they love to hear this, right? It is true, but the fact of the matter is that, you know, people who are harassed, they're no longer taken as seriously anymore because you have all of these women out here lying about this nonsense, okay? It's very interesting to me, man, that, like, this can even be done in the first place. But here we have a clip from Strong Successful Male. Shout out to this guy. I actually really like his channel. He covers a lot of ridiculous stories over on the internet, guys. You should go and check him out. But let's take a listen.
Now, here's a quick one about a gal who she, as well as her female coworkers, are having a meltdown because a guy at work isn't paying attention to them. And as I say, women, they need attention and validation the same way plants need sunlight and water. And how if a guy rejects them, either rejects their advances, doesn't pay attention to them, they lose their freaking minds. Title: A colleague at work, a 27-year-old male of 1 year, refuses to socialize with me, a 24-year-old female, or any of the women in our office. Oh, the travesty. There are plenty of other horrible things going on in the world, but nothing is as horrible as a guy, God forbid, not paying attention to you and your friends.
And you know what these women always label it as, right? They always try and label it like, oh, you don't like women, right? The reason why you're not talking to these women, or the reason why you don't want to collaborate with them or be alone with them, is because you don't like women. That's not the problem for a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys have no issues against women. Maybe a lot of these men even have girlfriends and things like this, okay? The reason why they're not interacting with these girls is because there is a very large risk associated with it, right? It's not like men have just woken up and gone, wow, I don't like women. No, men see what's happening to other men, where you have some women who are out here lying, and then they lose their careers and things like this. Guys, I remember there was like a recent, I mean, there's been a lot of recent cases about this, but one in particular, I don't recall the names. I'm very bad with sports people's names. But there was this guy, he had like a very prominent career, very promising career. I think it was in basketball. Some woman comes out and accuses him of doing bad things to her. And she accused him of doing this at like some party. They go to court, I think, and it turns out that the dude wasn't even at the party to begin with. Okay, but nevertheless, his career is still incredibly damaged from the whole ordeal. So even if the thing is true or not, I mean, even if the thing isn't true, you still suffer reputation damage as the guy. This is the same reason, guys, that I don't talk to women at the gym, for example. I don't go anywhere near women at the gym. If I go to the gym very late at night, for example, and there's only me, and there's like one other dude and one woman, for example, or if there's just me and there's just a woman, I'm not going anywhere near the woman, man. I'll stay right in front of the security cameras away from the woman. Let me tell you that, okay? Because dudes, you know, we don't want to be labeled with this crap. All it takes is one psycho woman, and then all of a sudden, you know, your friendships are ruined, your career is ruined, whatever the case may be.
She says here, "Hi all. I'm posting this on alternative site because I know a few of my friends are following me on here, and I don't want this spilling out until I have some clear thoughts on what I want to do." Oh, you're trying to say you don't want any drama? Because something tells me you like drama. So early last year, our firm hired Dan, a 27-year-old male. In the first few weeks, he was really quiet and didn't talk much, and that's just how we thought he was. Every conversation with him was short and to the point and never deviated from work, aside from pleasantries, have a nice weekend, etc. About 2 months ago, he started becoming a bit more friendly with the guys in our office, and they would hang out every so often after work and have normal conversations. Isn't it interesting that she and her friends are really paying close attention to what this guy's doing? However, whenever any of the girls in the office try to do so, he would quickly change the conversation back to just work or not reply. Even now, after a year of Dan working with us, he straight up refuses to socialize with the girls in the office, and he's making them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, shout out to this guy. So check this out, guys. The women feel uncomfortable if he decides to go out of his way to not make them uncomfortable in any way. That makes them uncomfortable. Isn't that crazy to think about, right? This guy is trying not to ruin his job. He's trying to stay out of it. He doesn't want any part in the gossip. He doesn't want to talk to his friends. This is a damn workplace, okay? And these women get all offended about it. And it's like, I'm sorry, screw you. You know, mind your own damn business. It's funny to me that the women actually get mad about this. Right? I can't really imagine it being the opposite way around. Oh, some woman at work, you know, she didn't want to talk to me, but she talked to all of her girlfriends. She doesn't talk to the men, but she talks to all the women. I mean, if a dude were out here complaining about this, it would look really damn stupid. But for some reason, when women do it, it's like, yeah, he doesn't like women. What a bad man. Right? Women oftentimes ignore men straight out. They don't want to talk to them outside of work. They don't want to talk to them about anything unwork related, okay? I mean, most dudes are straight up ignored, so I don't really see the problem here, guys. I've always said it on this channel, man, but so many of these women, they just hate being ignored. They can't stand it. When the attention goes somewhere else, when the resources go somewhere else, that's when we wind up with these sorts of problems and these complaining issues and things like this. When the attention starts to dry up, if men don't give their attention and resources, then we cry and complain about it. But let's continue.
Oh, now he's the bad guy. He's making us feel uncomfortable. Maybe he's sticking to business. Maybe he's worked at a place where the girls act like it's high school and wants nothing to do with it. Or maybe he's become very RP'd, understands about MG Tau, things like that, knows the Mike Pence rule, and he's doing that for a good reason. But he's making you uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me, man, how men can go out of their way to deliberately try not to make women uncomfortable, and women will still try and make it about them and say that they feel uncomfortable. You can't make this crap up, man. This is why. This is exhibit A of why the employers don't even want to employ the women in the first place, because they're trying to make issues out of nothing. This man is actively trying to avoid drama, and this woman is trying to make it. So crazy.
He avoids any discussion of himself outside of work-related events and future plans, and doesn't ask any of the girls either. Aware as he is, what can I only assume, pretty good friends with the guys in the office. Even on work meals out to celebrate events, he's only doing the bare minimum when it comes to conversation with the girls, where again with the guys, he talks to them like there is no problem whatsoever. I don't know if I'm overreacting. You sure about that? But one of the girls is considering going to HR about this because she is saying it's creating a hostile work environment.
Man, this is so crazy. So the dude is actively trying to avoid some woman dragging him to HR. He's leaving no room for errors. He doesn't want to have any conversations outside of what is necessary for work. He just wants to do his job and leave it at that. But this woman still takes it upon herself to go to HR. That is absolutely insane, guys, right? Man, it should be like, if you're a woman and you report crap like this, you report things that are either non-issues or you falsely accuse men, you should be the one facing the penalty for this crap. Okay, I'm so sick of seeing these cases where you have these women go out here, try and sabotage a man's life over completely and utterly nothing, and then the woman gets to walk away as if nothing happened. That's just insane to me. The woman should be punished for going to HR and wasting HR's time like this. You know, this is very similar to me, guys. It's kind of like people who falsely call the police and stuff. At a certain point, at what point do you just punish the people for wasting the time? And harming other people, mind you.
Dan treats us like he treats clients we work with, cordial and strictly about business, and it's wearing thin now. Any advice is appreciated. Okay, she asked for advice, so I'll give some advice. You and your friends need to grow the F up. You're 24 years old, so I'm assuming all the female coworkers are probably in the 20s. We all know what generation they're in between the Z-tards and the millennials, and she's certainly behaving like a bunch of Z-tards.
Did he just say Z-tards? That is hilarious.
And millennials. Your work is a place of business to earn a paycheck to pay for your living expenses or to build a career, not high school. But she's acting like it's high school. If this guy doesn't want to talk to you, that's his business. He probably has experience where BS goes on, gossiping and drama and turmoil, which you're creating drama, and wants nothing to do with it. And given how you're acting here and saying that it's a unpleasant work environment or some BS like that and thinking about going to HR, gee, you wonder why he doesn't want to talk to you. Problem is this: you can't handle the fact that a guy doesn't want to pay attention to you, that a guy isn't flirting with you, asking you out and all that, and it's driving you freaking crazy.
I want to just, before we continue on to the next clip here, guys, let's contrast this to men, okay? When do we see dudes who are going to HR because women won't talk to them? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a situation like that, guys. I've seen many situations and situations similar to this where women will report dudes over absolutely nothing, but very rarely, in fact, I don't think I've ever seen it go the other way around, right? And they wonder why these workplaces are not looking to hire women as much, man. Okay, I don't think workplaces can actually really too easily get away with doing crap like this because we have anti-discrimination laws these days. I'm sure it absolutely does happen. But, you know, I don't blame these companies who are like, man, this is kind of not a good situation we're in because I don't want to be hiring these women, especially in a mixed gender workplace. And then we're going to have issues where you've got potentially the women going to HR complaining about things that the dudes might not have necessarily have done, right? It just creates drama where there shouldn't be drama. These workplaces exist for work. They don't exist as some sort of gossip circle for you to engage in. But let's continue on to the next clip.
People, including myself, only became aware of the Me Too movement in 2017 when Rose McGowan, a white wealthy woman who was a famous actress, brought it up. But it was actually started all the way back in 2006 by Tarana Burke, an African-American social activist. Women of color have been speaking up about sexual abuse in low-income workspaces for ages, but they never garnered the same attention as a rich white actress.
Well, isn't this awesome? Due to the hard work and efforts of feminism in the Me Too movement has made men not only be extra careful working with women in the workplace, but it is making men not even want to work with women.
There's been some
I find it interesting in all of these clips, guys, right? You have women like this, right? The social justice warriors of the internet, right? And these are the people who will claim that, you know, it's all about equality. You need to treat everybody equally, blah, blah, blah. And yet they are the first people to bring up race in a discussion. I always find that so interesting, man, because it seems to me like the people who are the most anti-racist turn out to be typically the most racist people. Isn't that just wild? Right? Whenever we have these sorts of discussions, the people who are all about equality, the first thing they always jump to, particularly with conclusions about why things work the way they do, they always are the first ones to jump to race and start blaming people. Right? This person has a privilege because they're this and this and that, you know, and they sort everybody by the groups that they say, you know, by the groups that they've defined. I'm sorry, I thought we were against defining people by their group. I'm awfully confused here, man. Awfully confused. Let's keep going.
anxiety as
Even want to work with women.
There's been some backlash about Me Too and some anxiety, as you might imagine.
Many male managers and owners are feeling a little bit more tentative when working with and managing their female workers.
Listen to this. A side result, an unintended consequence of the Me Too movement has popped up. Male executives and managers, some are now saying they are afraid to work with and mentor female colleagues in the workplace. So we're trying to find out, is it too hard to see the difference between mentoring and harassment?
Listen, I can't give any more information, but I fear I may have girl bossed a bit too close to the sun.
Have you guys noticed that some of my videos have gone missing over here on YouTube? That is because I am slowly moving them over to locals where I can actually host them without the risk of getting in trouble. If you are not aware, many creators are starting to move over to places like locals, Rumble, etc. because YouTube is not really a free speech platform. So if you are interested in supporting the channel and getting access to videos that are no longer available here, make sure that you come and join us over on locals. The link will be in the video description down below. Supporters get access to their own exclusive videos that are no longer available to the public. So make sure you go to the link in the description and join us over there now. But anyway, guys, back to today's episode.
A large percentage of male managers were concerned about working with women one-on-one in the workplace. They were concerned about mentoring women. They were saying they were afraid to have meetings with women, to travel with women, and so on. It indicates that there are anxieties and fears that we need to address.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't blame these companies. I don't blame these dudes who are in this position. Because as a business owner, for example, you are probably not going to want to invite drama into your workplace, man. Okay? This is the thing. A lot of these business owners, a lot of these guys, hell, even the dudes who aren't the business owners and the men who are just like employees and they're working for these companies, they see what has happened to other men. Chances are a lot of these guys have literally friends who have been accused of something, right? Guys, I know a couple of friends, right? They've been accused of something they absolutely didn't do. And similarly, the women get avoided after the fact because everybody knew they were full of crap, right? But sometimes, you know, people just side with the women and it goes awfully for the dude. And dudes don't want to deal with this, guys. Chances are, if you're watching this video, I would say there's a decent chance that you probably know of somebody who this has happened to. They've been accused of something that they didn't do. Maybe their career has suffered as a consequence. Maybe they've lost friends over it. Things like this. So it is absolutely no surprise to me that these workplaces and these men are very wary of hiring women these days. Completely and utterly makes sense to me. Let's keep going.
Tonight, one retired CEO is speaking out about why he thinks this might end up having the wrong effect on women in the workforce.
Steve, Tricia, well, this new wave of women standing up against sexual misconduct has led to all sorts of changes. But tonight, one CEO believes it may be preventing women from getting the jobs they want. From the entertainment industry to the gaming world, women everywhere are standing up against sexual misconduct in the workplace.
It's a new day. It is the era of the woman now.
The latest.
What is this? Who invited this individual? Oh, it is the era of women now. Okay, have fun. Enjoy. Let's... Man, they always get the most shocking people on these interviews, don't they? Right? Negative impact on women in the workforce? Question mark. Hashtag Me Too may prevent women from getting jobs. Well, you know what? So the people who are preventing these women apparently from getting into these workplaces, which again, I'm skeptical as to whether or not they can even prevent women from coming in, simply because we have anti-discrimination laws, and then the people will probably get in even more trouble for not hiring women, okay? But it's just funny to me because the women are complaining about dudes not hiring them, but it's interesting because they can't really go to women to hire them, right? Because there are oftentimes not many business leaders these days, at least who are women. I'm sure there are an increasing number of them, especially as women become more quote-unquote college educated these days. But by and large, as I understand it, the majority of business owners, particularly the ones that actually have the funds to hire people, are usually men. So if the future is women, go out there and hire each other then. Have fun. Knock yourselves out.
To the Las Vegas Strip. Casino mogul Steve Wynn stepping down as CEO yesterday after allegations he sexually assaulted employees. But is time really up?
I have a big concern, and it's what's going to happen in hiring going forward.
Mark Yoseloff is the director of UNLV's School of Gaming and Innovation and hired hundreds of men and women as former CEO of Shufflemaster. He says this movement will make it tougher for women to get hired, especially when they're up against a qualified man.
They might elect to hire the man because they are concerned that down the road, whether they do anything wrong or not, There might be a she said, he said.
Yoslov says current CEOs he knows have already opted not to sit in meetings alone with women in fear they would do something to spark a complaint.
Yeah, this makes absolute sense.
It's a craziness that no executive wants to have to face.
I totally agree with that, man. I absolutely do. But let's jump in here for a moment. I wanted to have a look at some of these comments below this video and see what other dudes are thinking who are replying to this original one here. Let's jump down here and let's have a bit of a look, right? This guy here says, the elephant in the room that no one is talking about is, why did women's productivity fall after no collaborations with men? Good question. Why did they not collaborate with each other and retain their previous productivity levels? Also, why did men's productivity not fall after no collaborations with women? It looks like women have been piggybacking off the work of men. Is that the case, or is there another explanation? Why is nobody asking these questions? A very good point, guys. These women didn't go out there and continue to, for example, collaborate with other women. They chose to just get mad about the fact that they couldn't collaborate with men. Very interesting also that it suggests that, you know, women weren't necessarily doing their own level of work in the workplace, and in fact, they were getting carried by dudes. Let's continue. Graduated from college about 20 years ago. My dad, an executive at GM, sat me down concerning my first job. He said, on the job, stay away from women. They're emotional and troublemakers. Stay away, but don't ignore them. Just be cordial and then stay away. Smart advice. I totally agree with this, man. Right? I think dads in particular, you know, this is a wise piece of advice, right? So if you're a father or something like that, I know many of you guys watching my channel would probably pass on this advice, but I think this is fantastic advice to give to your sons in particular, if you have a son or two. So let's continue down here. This person here says, I was once deployed with a fellow female troop who was always stuck doing details, keeping her all by herself. When I asked about why, they said she had torpedoed 2 other male troops. Excuse me? One was an NCO with provably false accusations. Damn. After that, no one would work with her. You know what? I'll take this a step further, guys. I think that if you're a woman, and hell, if you're anyone, I don't care if you're a man, I don't care if you're a woman, I don't care if you think that you're a crocodile. It does not matter to me. If you come out here and you start accusing people falsely of things, especially things that are provably false, you should immediately just be fired from your position. Absolutely, man. Particularly military. This is crazy. It sounds like military anyway, deployed with a fellow female troop here. So it's just crazy that these people are allowed to continue to hold their positions even after trying to sabotage the careers of other people who they're supposed to be working with. So after that, nobody would work with her. One troop even took an Article 15 non-judicial punishment for straight up defying a direct order to work with her. He refused and willingly took the hit. Literally no one would work with her because she was that toxic. What's worse, she was a single low-rank E3 that managed to shake up an entire 40-man plus shop. And this is what so many of these workplaces are not wanting to deal with, right? Is because you have one of these women on, and all it takes is one of these girls to come out here, do these false accusation nonsense stories, and then all of a sudden your work productivity of 40 plus men is disrupted now because of one bad egg. You see what I'm saying? Like, of course these corporations and things are not looking to hire these women. Let's finish this and then we'll wrap up today's episode. He said, I went out of my way to extend a friendly hand thinking maybe she just needed a mentor. Oh no, buddy. Oh no. And within minutes, her abrasive arrogance and vile personality was crystal clear. She even managed to say, I will take down an E7 if I want, while looking right at me as some little threat. With that, I simply bid her a good day, did an about face, and never spoke to her again. She spent this next 6 months completely alone. Never in my 20 years serving had I seen such a toxic person do so much damage so fast. She earned all of her misery. I agree with this guy 100%. Fantastic stuff. Guys, we're going to be leaving today's episode there. What do you guys think of these businesses and such, these men not wanting to hire women these days? Make sure to leave your thoughts and your comments. Make sure you take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next episode. Peace.